Hey, how you doing? This is Derick Gant, 24K Life Podcast, and we are bringing an exceptional expert in the area of major purchases so that you can better understand how to spend your money wisely, so that you can understand better how to use your money for appreciating assets, depreciating assets, and otherwise necessary expenses. Mr. Vince McCarver. Hey, Vince.
Hey, all right. Thank you, Derick.
How you doing today, sir?
Great. Always been impressed with your knowledge in the financial world. Obviously we've been talking about cars. We talked about a lot of things.
Yes.
I'm not an expert. I know a lot of different things about. I mean, in the area of car sales, yeah, I would say 29 years would qualify me on that platform. So
you're an expert, my man.
Yeah,
I don't know what you be humble or whatever you're trying to do. you are by far an expert. So here's why I called you.
Okay.
I called you because at least 2 or 3 times a month, I get a phone call or a request from a client or someone to send my universe asking me, hey, I need to make this car purchase. Should I buy it? Should I lease it? What should I do? And I give them the mathematically accurate information as far as I know, which will probably just get you a little wet.
Right.
Not going to cool you off or make you nice and fuzzy. So I said, you know what? Enough's enough. Let me talk to the man. And while I'm talking to him, I might as well let everybody else in on the conversation so that they can get it straight from the genius's mouth. Yeah. So the big question, of course, is, let's start with the big question. And to me, that question is when you go into an auto dealership, historically, the image is that they're going to run you around to try to get the biggest commission or sale or whatever it is they can get. And, it's shady time.
Right.
So let's address that elephant first. So how should people be thinking about going to make this major purchase? Because, but after a house, a car is pretty, as far as commonality is concerned, not many people are going out buying boats. So, for people that are going to do that, 3-4 times in their lifetime, what should they be thinking when they come on the dealership lot?
First thing, there is no substitute for doing your homework.
Okay.
And the homework would include, one, kind of getting to a point where what car you really want. Okay. More times than not, and I see it a lot now more than ever, is, if you're not brand loyal, you're going to go to a couple of lots, drive this car, drive that car. Okay. Find out which one really fits your situation. An example of that, if you're coming in and buying a car for your daughter, obviously you're going to come in and start talking safety. If you're coming in and buying a car for your wife, then it's going to be all about color, but, yeah. But the biggest thing is really finding out, narrowing down what you want. Now, when you step on the floor, you're going to, and you meet that salesperson so that you don't get run around. You got to have some sort of direction that you already want to go in. Okay. So when you go in, say again.
What does that mean?
What that means is, okay, when I come on the floor, I already know. I just had an experience where I went in to, look at the new cable versus AT&T, blah, 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 blah. Well, okay. I kind of knew, I educated myself to AT&T don't offer this. This company does offer that. What the cost is. Cost was secondary because at this point it's service. Okay. Well, cost is really secondary even in a car buy. People say, how much is it going to cost me? But if it doesn't do what you want it to do, cost doesn't matter.
Right?
So let's go. So let's move on. So when that person comes on the floor, I'm saying kind of have a little homework done and know what you kind of want to do.
So where do you recommend they do this homework? Because you're going to say so much more, but let's because this
okay.
This is the basics for us people that are novices.
Okay.
Are we going to, one of the quality control magazines that, hey, this is the best of 2021 or where are we doing this homework?
Well, first of all, most cars out there, I don't want to say they're all created equal.
Okay.
But chances are you're going to get a long life out of a car if you take care of it now. Most cars are being taken care of with synthetic oil. So you're not no longer doing the $300 oil change deal.
Okay.
So when you get this, the information you're looking for now is, space. How much space am I going to need? Do I need a 7-passenger versus a 5-passenger? Most people are looking at gas mileage. What am I looking at? Am I going to be driving this car 100, 200 miles a day? Mm-hmm. At that point, gas mileage is going to be important. So guess what? You might come in and start looking at a hybrid. So that kind of homework could be found online.
Okay, so you're going to go online and you're going to say, hey, here's the things that are important to me. Gas mileage.
Right.
So space. So you look at all these little lists that you have personally, and then you Google, okay, well, I know if I need a sports utility vehicle because that's the space I need, then so then I can Google what sports utility vehicle has the best gas mileage and then do your homework from there.
Right. Yeah, you could do that. So, Consumer Reports is one, which is going to give you more quality control.
Okay.
All right? The other book is J.D. Power. Okay, J.D. Power offers a whole lot. A new one on the line right now is Carfax. What we call it, Carfax. Well, those things kind of get you that information you need so that when you go in, you're having a conversation with someone about something you want to do.
Got it.
Okay. The other side of that, Derick, is you got a lot of guys that are going to come in. They want a sports car. They want a Scat Pack. They already have determined it doesn't matter.
Right. They already know
gas mileage. Right. They're coming in and just saying Scat Pack with this. A lot of that's going on now. Okay. So again, for you guys out there that want to really know what kind of homework to do, just kind of find out what you want.
Okay. Find
out what you want, how much space you need, and what you want this particular thing you're getting to do.
Perfect.
Now we can help you. Now, when you come in now, you might say, Vince, I looked at a Ford Explorer. What's equal to that? Okay, now I can put you in a Grand Cherokee, or I can put you in a Cherokee with dependent. Mm-hmm. Because I don't have unless I'm going used, I don't have a Ford Explorer.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna find out, what did you like about the Ford Explorer? Okay. What are you willing to flex on if I don't have that in the car that I have?
Okay.
So that's where we're going to do it. We call that counseling our customers. It's kind of getting to understand where they're going. I'm not going to tell you what to tell me. I'm going to give you a couple questions that kind of give me and point me in the right direction so that I'll know that I'm at least going to put you in a space that is going to help you get to where you want to go.
Okay. So my next question, we'll skip the really, really big question. I mean, the big question is, should I lease or should I buy?
Okay.
So we're going to skip that one for now, just to keep people interested. I'm joking. I'm just teasing. So let's say we're going to buy a car. Let's talk about credit and down payment. What are the critical numbers that you should walk into a dealership ready, be prepared to be able to deliver?
First and foremost, your analysis on credit. If you're working with Derick Gant, he's going to already give you kind of like where you should be on a FICO score, right?
Yep.
What your credit histories are. Okay. And remember, this is in a perfect world. Mm-hmm. And I say that to say that there's so many people who really don't pay enough attention to that.
Right.
Okay. Because when I see somebody with a 400 score, I tell them, you really worked hard to do that.
So, they worked just as hard to get to 4 as the person did to get to 8.
100%, right? Yeah, you had to really work on that. So understanding where you are there, because here's the thing that and I know, those 400 scores cost you. Now, there's a bank that just started coming about 10 years ago, mm-hmm. and they're doing 25%.
Oh, whew.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So here's the example of that, and I'm gonna take a shortcut to this. If you came in and bought a $10,000 car with a 400 score, or you came in and bought a $10,000 car with a 800 score, 700 score, and even a 650 score,
right?
The price difference you're paying $10,000 for the car. You're paying back a lot more at 25% versus 4%.
Yeah, you're paying $13,000.
100%. Right. You paid 10, you're going to pay back 23.
Yep.
Okay. Well, people don't realize.
Yeah, depending on the length of the loan. You're right.
Right. So people don't realize that a interest rate is a fee. Mm-hmm. It's a fee to lend you money.
Right.
So coming in, have an understanding of that. Have an understanding about term. You know, how long do you want to go? How fast do you want to pay this debt off? Mm-hmm. Okay. Also, I would say, you know, in a perfect world, kind of know if I borrow 10, how much do I have to pay back? How fast can I pay it back?
Okay.
So Derick, if you came in and you said, I've got, you know, some income that I can use to pay this off faster, what's the benefit of that? Okay. If they said you had a 72-month loan, you paid it off in 24 months, you saved yourself an enormous amount of interest.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. So, I mean, I don't know that we would have enough time for me to really give you all the do's and don'ts, but this is just a general thing.
Okay. So you're basically saying, hey, know where you're supposed to be. I would tell somebody, hey, if you don't go in there with less than a 640, don't even go in there with less than 640. That's what I would tell them.
Right.
And then I heard recently that you can get a better rate at 700. So, you know, if you have to get a car, if you can't wait and you have to, go ahead and do it, but you need to be focused, laser focused on that 700 number, and you need to go back in and get it redone at that point. That's what I would tell.
Now, well, here's the other thing I think you can add to that is if they have to go in, and sometimes they do, a car breaks down, you got to get back and forth to work to pay your bills, and you haven't done well by your credit, well, you're going to have to go in. So that's what these other, you know, what they call B-tier banks or subprime banks.
Subprime.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The major banks own those subprime banks. Right. Ally owns one. Chrysler owns one. Chrysler itself is also a subprime bank. Okay. So you do have control, but you get the control of the worst banks out there for your given situation.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get with Derick Gant or someone in that field that says, hey, let's work on your credit because it's going to cost you. Let's not buy a car now. Your car's working fine.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get your credit together, if you want to renew at that time, then we can go into the question of should I buy or should I lease or different things like that. Right. So first things first, let's make sure your credit is in good shape.
Okay.
That's one of the things I do too, Derick. When a person comes in, when
I know you do. You've called me with numerous people. Hey, you need to talk to Derick to get your credit right.
Right.
And then come back to me. So absolutely, you do. You practice what you preach, which is why I call you because you already 24K. So we already know.
I'm trying.
Right, you ain't trying. You an expert. So my next question is the big question.
Yeah.
So let me give you an example. That way you have something to work with. So a client called me earlier this week. They said, hey, we really need to get a new vehicle. We're going to trade in a vehicle. It's going to be, let's just call it a Ford Expedition. They said Ford, what's the one below the Expedition? Whatever that is.
Explorer.
So let's say they were looking at Explorer and maybe something even the one under that. So they were comparing those two.
Because you got an Expedition, and then you have the Explorer, and then the other one is I know the one you're talking about.
But it wasn't the Expedition; it was the Explorer or something else.
Okay.
He says, okay, so we talked to someone, and they said, hey, we're going to give you $19,000 on the trade-in.
Mm-hmm.
But then they're asking me, should we? And they're retired, so I'm going to give you the whole scenario. So they're retired.
Okay.
They have money, but no matter, people with money still want the best deal possible. That's how they get money.
Right.
So they're asking me, should we lease or should we buy? My answer to them was, from a generic standpoint, how many miles are you driving a year? And so go find out what the purchase price is, find out what the lease numbers are. And if you can stay under those numbers, I suggest you lease, because if you own, they're retired. So to make sure you understand my scenario. So because you're retired, if you have one car paid for and you're leasing another car, and you need another car, I'm not a big fan of owning it, because you just don't know, you don't need it. You really don't need it. They're both retired.
Right.
So why don't you lease one, get what you want, and then just know that in your budget, you're going to have a car payment the rest of your life at that amount, and you can always don't have to worry about the maintenance. You don't have to worry about the upkeep, because when the lease is up, you turn it back in, do it again, because you're old. I didn't say this to them, but you're old. You don't want to worry about all that stuff. So that was my generic Derick Gant financial advice. But at the same time, I said to them, because they trust me with their millions, so I said, let me call my dude and maybe get a little bit more detail from him as to what you should be considering to make a wise decision. So I called you, and then I said, you know what? Let's talk about this for everybody. And that's what so that's the scenario.
Right.
What do you think?
All right. When a person comes in and I sit down with them, okay, the average person that comes in, not the person you're talking about now, is going to have a budget they want to stay within.
Right.
However, when they come in, when I show them what fits their budget, they're saying, no, I don't want that. Right. Okay, so
I think you was gonna say it before you said it. That's why I started laughing. Like, nah, man, I can't roll like that.
Okay, so that's a beer budget champagne taste, right? Mm-hmm. So at that point, I'm gonna say, have you ever considered leasing?
Okay.
Obviously, there's a list of questions that come after that. How many miles do you drive? You know, and it's something that people do not kind of add up, and this is something that we all should do. Mm-hmm. What is the total cost of you driving a car? Because it's not just the car payment.
Nope. I tell them all the time, call the insurance company, tell them what you're thinking about buying.
Right, exactly.
How much is the gas tank? How much does it take of gas?
Right. How much does it take of gas? What other things? So, for instance, if you got a car, got 80,000 miles on it, the transmission goes out, you got a $4,000 fix, divide that by 12, because that's what your new payment is. So, you just made a good statement. If they lease a vehicle, they can stay within the miles. By the way, the one good thing about a lease, and a lot of people say, well, you know what? They don't give me but so many miles. No, you control what you do in a lease. Mm-hmm. There's a cost for everything.
Right.
So if I tell you I give you 10,000 miles, you want to go 12. Yeah, there's an extra cost in there for you to use that many miles. Why? It devalues the car by an extra 4,000 miles.
Right.
Look, miles are the lifeblood of any car. Mm-hmm. So, but to have a fixed budget and to have the car you want in that budget, I would say leasing. By the way, 90% of the people I deal with lease.
Are you kidding?
90% of the people lease.
I would have never thought that was the number.
Yeah, 90% of the people, when they go into a car, those big trucks you see out on the road are leased.
Really?
That Ram is leased. That Ford F-150 is leased.
I saw a Ram today, and I was like, "Ooh, I might have to do something different one day."
Well, Derick, think about it. Those nice trucks are somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000 to $60,000, right? Yeah. Even with the discounts that they offer, when you go in, and most people don't want to do this, they're already going out beyond the time frame in which they want to pay for something, which is 60 months.
Exactly.
72 is the average.
42?
72.
Oh, well, because you got to slow down, because I need to make sure they hear this.
Okay.
72 is the average on a purchase.
On a purchase is 72 months.
Crazy.
Right. Now, think about
the average.
That's the average. 72.
You're saying that like no big. That's crazy.
Because that's been the norm.
Wow.
However, 84 is now becoming the norm.
I didn't know 84 was an option.
84 is an option. 96 is an option. On big major 60,000 plus purchases, 96 is even offered by some banks.
Hey man, on a side note, and this is not for all the people listening to this. This is just for me and you. We're gonna act like they're not listening. If we was dirty, dude,
right?
We in the wrong business,
right? Yeah, right.
We in the wrong business. We should have got into the payday loan business.
Yes,
the credit card business. That is insane. Right.
So the answer to your question is the reason I remember there going back to 1996, maybe 96. A guy, Buzz Deerdorf, came to our dealership. I was working at Yark at the time, and gave us just set us down and told us this is a new thing that's coming down. He said, in the next 2 years, you guys will be leasing 75 to 80% of the vehicles that you have on your lot every day.
In 96?
In 96. And I'll be damned if he's not right.
Obviously, wow, man, oh man, that's
Right.
crazy. That is
When that big crash. Now, here's the thing: when that big crash happened back in 2008, I'm a little off base here, but when that crash happened in 2008, the big three took leasing almost off the table, except for if you were an 800 score. So it finally just came back, but it ran all the other banks that call themselves being in leasing, mainly the credit unions that used to lease don't lease anymore.
I'm trying to think in my head really fast why, because I can't imagine what the risk was. I mean, I know the real estate market took a shit, but I'm trying to figure out how that affected. It didn't affect employment like the pandemic affected employment.
Here's the answer to your question. All of the cars that they were getting back, because at that time, most leases were 2-year leases. They were getting flooded with a ton of cars coming back. Okay. And when those cars were going through the auction, because there were so many, supply and demand took over. There's a huge supply of these cars. That means that, guess what? We pay less for them. So these guys were losing so much money. So their portfolios wasn't as rich as they wanted them to be because they had to get rid of this toxic asset that they had to go and sell at a discount.
So what you're saying is that they didn't want any more inventory in the market in the next 2 years.
Right. Exactly.
Man, I would have never thought of that.
So they finally came back to where an average person could come in and lease. So if this person, let's just go back to the person you're speaking of, your client. Okay. If they walked into me and they said that I no longer want to put tires on a car, I no longer want to, do anything, to a car. I don't want to buy an extended warranty or anything like that. I only use my car for about 8,000 miles. I would say 99% they should lease.
Okay.
100% should lease. The only thing that trumps that is if they walk in and pay cash for a car and there's no interest, or they go 0 interest on a car. And that's all relative. And that's all what I want to say. That's even that in itself, I might not still give them that answer.
Right.
Because there's going to come a time where you still have to pay for things out of your pocket.
Yeah. Time value of money too, man. I mean,
time value of money. So, but if every 3 years you walk in and you keep yourself upgraded, you don't worry about a key fob going out on you, don't worry about a radio going out on you. It's all warranty. By the way, you own the dealership because you can come in and say, hey, look, my car's broke, fix it, call me when it's ready. That's on a lease. Okay. So in that manner, however, now a person might say, well, I drive 20,000 miles a year. Okay. You still should lease.
Really? Just buy the extra miles?
Yeah, right. Even you should buy the extra miles. But Derick, here's the thing. No matter what you do, that car is going to lose value faster because you're driving it 20,000 miles.
Right.
So the value of that vehicle still goes down faster. But what's the other thing? The other upkeep goes up more because you're putting more miles on it at a shorter period of time.
Right. Wow. That's good to know. I should have talked to you a long time ago.
Right. So,
I mean, we talk about investing, but not this stuff. So I need to keep up to date with what's going on.
And a lot of people say, well, I'll never own a car. And I tell people, this is a joke that I use when I'm talking. They say, well, I'll never own my car then. I said, well, you know why they have drive-through windows? So the car can talk to its rightful owner from time to time. Because until you make the last payment, in some cases, 84 months later, 72 months later,
you don't own it.
Guess what? You don't own it.
You don't own it anyway. Wow.
The fastest way to get back on your feet is miss a couple car payments.
Yeah. I tell you what, man, I am out of the loop. I don't know if you remember this, but the last car I bought, I wrote a check for it.
Right.
And I drive my vehicles till the wheels pop off. So it's been a minute. So this is really an education for me and for probably thousands of people. So I really appreciate you being straightforward and telling us what the real considerations are when you're thinking about, how to make a move. So what's your thoughts about the electric cars or the hybrid cars, or what's your thoughts about that from a purchase standpoint? What would you buy today if money wasn't an option? What would you get today?
A Tesla.
You and me both. You and me both.
I'm telling you.
When you hit it, you got to get me one. When I hit it, and we don't put this in public. When I hit it, I'll get you one.
There you go.
So
let me say this. It's going that way anyway. What Biden just did was not way down the road, which once changes is actually, mandated from that standpoint. Guess what? They normally take 20 years or 15 years or so. No, he said in 10 years, I want 50% of these vehicles in our United States to be
electric
hybrid.
Okay, electric or hybrid. Okay.
Right. And we're getting far more of that now. Ford, for instance, has 2 vehicles out there, the Mustang being one of them. Okay. By the way, that Mustang will beat a Hellcat. Really? Yeah. Because the power distribution is so much different. You don't spin tires or anything like that. And it's seamless. But again, understand that technology. And, Tesla's got it. Okay. Their cars are, the way they're doing it, people are keeping the cars. There's more. You can tell the change is coming because when you go to Meyer, you see all those charging stations. Yes. Right? If you build a new home, those are giving you the outlets to actually plug your cars in. So it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Faster than what we think. So the answer to your question is, gas is going away. And these guys are going to start to scramble a little bit. Gas prices are going to go up because guess what? They know that the supply of that is not going to be as much needed down the road as it is right now. Right. So, and it's not really about gas mileage either, Derick. It's all about the environment.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So
the environment.
That change is coming. AI is coming. AI is making them a lot faster.
Okay.
Okay. But back to that one question, something else you just said when you start talking that lease deal, right? The number one thing a person wants to think about, they want to trade cars. The average life of a trade cycle of a car is 3 years.
Okay.
Right. Now, you know this term is called upside down, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so upside down simply means, it's actually an oxymoron. There's no such thing as upside down, but
it feels like it when it happens.
Oh, yeah. It does. It means that you owe more on the car than the car's valued at, right?
Right.
So in order to stay out of that cycle, most time, and this is something that is very important to this conversation about lease versus buy. When you walk in, the average person don't have the money they need to actually eliminate that situation from happening. Okay. They buy a car, they put the tax in, and they only want to put a little money out of pocket. So you buy a $30,000 car, really you should be putting down $66,000. Okay. You know how often that happened? Almost never.
Never, huh?
Right? So now you finance things into it, and then you buy an extended warranty because at 3 year, 36,000 miles on that car, now you need a warranty to make sure you don't have those big expenses that happen down the road. Those are, people don't realize that's $2,000 to $4,000 to add that in. Now, because I put myself in a situation, Derick, that if I wreck that car and total it, the insurance company is not obligated to pay what I owe. They're obligated to pay what the market value is of that car. Right. So now I put gap insurance. So I just pumped another $900 into your deal. Again, to protect yourself, that's smart. You talk a lot about insurance and protecting yourself, right? Right. Hey, don't fail to plan to fail, right?
Wow, that's huge, man. I would have never thought about that. I mean, from an advice standpoint, but what huge advice. So you're saying, hey, if you're going to extend something, if you're going to purchase something past that 3 years and you don't get extended coverage, you're asking to roll the dice on a problem.
You are. So, but by the time you pay 3 years, now laws were changed. Now, when they were changed, I don't know. But the banks used to be able to charge you as much upfront in interest as they wanted to. Well, I believe it was Gerald Ford, or might have been one of the Bushes, that changed the law and said you had to equal out that disbursement, meaning when they go and they take your payment, you got to pay a lot more on interest, not interest, but on the principal. They changed that. One of these guys that got in here changed that. to where I'm gonna give you a real life scenario. There's a gentleman that came in, bought a car from me. He ended up with a $700 payment.
Okay.
He came back in my place and he showed me his disbursement, the first one. Out of the $710, $690 of it was going toward interest. Wow. In 10 months, he would have paid back almost $7,000 in interest, and he only paid maybe $100 off of the principal. So if he traded after driving 1,000 miles per month, he now owes way more on that car than he's paid off.
Right.
That's where that upside down comes from.
Okay.
So when you come and trade out of a car after 3 years, you're like, I'm going to carry over a lot of money onto my newfound debt.
Okay.
Now, one other thing there. Now I've added that. Now, if that car gets totaled, I really owe a lot of money on value. Right. Leasing removes that.
Yeah. Wow. So one last question, bro. This has been so beneficial. And I don't know how valid this question is. It has nothing to do with the leasing and buying thing. It's just a curiosity question. Same couple that called me about the leasing and buying situation said that there is a incredible, massive shortage on computer chips.
Right.
And they can't, and the car's 10 months out or something crazy.
Right.
What's going on? What's going on? What's this all about?
Okay. So as much as I know, and don't take it as fact, I'm hearing the same thing that a lot of these guys are hearing too, but nobody's really come down and say, wait, here's the point. This is where the problem exists.
Okay.
So we know it's out of Korea. We know it's COVID related. Okay. That's and the materials that it's made out of. So I heard this a couple of weeks ago, this mine where they mine this material to make those chips.
Okay.
Only has so much material it can give to the world. But everything you use electronic is using those chips.
Really? Everything, not just the car. So this
not just the cars. Yes. Everything is using these chips. Okay. So there's only so much of it to give to the car industry. Well, here's the thing that we've done as America. And again, be very careful here because I don't want to.
Man. You just tell the truth. If they shut my account down for you telling the truth, don't worry about it. I'll take ownership of it.
In my humble opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. We're dealing with Korea is where those chips are coming from, is from what I heard.
Okay.
Okay. Again, I'm not sitting as fact, but that's what I heard. A third of that material is already promised out.
Okay.
So the 2/3 that are left, I mean the mark that is left, the 2/3 that is left is actually divided up between us and also Korea for their own cars.
Okay.
So I go down the street from my house. Hyundai and Kia are all made in Korea. Everybody else across the street has no cars on the lot. They've got a lot full of cars. You do the math.
Yeah, we good.
Come to your own conclusion. Right?
Hey, we good.
Yeah, right. We're good. So here's the thing. I will say this. Tell your customers, go in and order that car, because that's what Ford now has a commercial, and they're saying we'll give you $1,000 voucher or bonus if you come in and you order your car.
Really?
Those take precedence over even allocated cars. Cars work on allocation of 30, 60, 90-day turn.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Every 30 days I sell my cars, I get to refill those orders. Right? However, those take a back seat. Derick wants a car. He comes in, he orders it. Ford Explorer, Jeep Grand Cherokee. It's moved to the front of the line. It gets a chip, right? Okay. Their car would be moved to the front of the line, okay? And they can still lease it. The terms and everything on the lease. Mm-hmm. So go back to them. I would tell them to lease a car and try it.
Obviously, that's the conclusion here.
Right.
I mean, that's what I heard you say, in a nutshell. And I'm going to actually send them this so that they can hear the whole. They're retired. They got time to listen. So,
and you can give my phone number too.
Yeah, no. I'm definitely going to give them your contact information because they're in Michigan somewhere. They have a 734 area code, so they're in your world.
So they're close.
So I'm going to give them your number. And I'm going to give them the video and make sure that they reach out to you and get a really crystal clear understanding of what's what. So, hey, man, I appreciate you. I learned so much in the last 35 minutes, and I should have known I was going to learn some stuff. But sometimes we forget. We're like, how much can there be leasing and buying? But there was a whole lot. I mean,
there's a lot. There's a lot. So, and if you come to me and say, Vince, what should I do in your profession? You always got to be on top of everything. Leasing would be the way to go. But again, there's no wrong way to do either one. Right. You bought a car, paid cash for it. You didn't pay any interest to a bank. You drove it and the wheels fell off of it. Right. So what you do is take, how much did you actually spend for that car? Let's just say you spent 20 grand for it. How long did you get to drive it? You got to drive it for, let's say you got it for 10 years, right?
Let's say 10 years.
Okay, so if you take 10 years, now you go in and you just add in how much maintenance did I do to the car, or whatever I did, and then divide it. Now you see how much you really paid per month.
Right. Yeah.
There's no interest in there.
I agree. I wouldn't do it again because of the time value of money.
Right.
And I wrote a way bigger check than 20. Mathematically, it was a good deal mathematically.
Right.
But Derick could have taken that money, connected with Vince, and we could have had a business venture that would have generated what I paid for the car.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Be honest.
You're talking rich dad, poor dad stuff right there.
Absolutely.
You would have not a depreciating asset. You would have something that would have depreciated.
So I took a lump sum of money and made it a depreciating asset.
Right. You should have bought Bitcoin that way back when, and you did.
Exactly. So, we all make mistakes, and I'm a financial guru, and I make mistakes. But you can't make them if you don't live and learn. And I learned, and now I'm sharing that information with other people. So I am completely excited about getting this out to people to help them understand what they're doing and how they're doing it and what it really means. When we edit this, we'll make sure we get your number and your email and all that stuff so that people can reach out to you, because it's still a relationship society. As much 100%. As we're online, it's still a relationship society. Not that many people are buying cars online. They still want to talk to somebody, so we'll make sure they come talk to you.
Oh yeah.